Listen up, Rangers, welcome to the HS. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over how I assembled this little factory display stand here for my X Plus 25cm landing Hedorah, the reissue. Which, over up on Patreon, I actually made a video of me literally assembling this thing in its entirety. Some parts are sped up for time constraints, but for the most part you get to see kind of like my thought process and how I decided to try to solve a few of the problems on here, just kind of haphazardly put this together in half a day. Also want to point out too, if you guys do check it out, it's just a $1 donation, and the AC kept kicking on in the background, so there's a couple of parts that are pretty loud, but it's over an hour video of me literally going through and cutting, gluing, and trying to work some kinks out and fail at a couple of things here and there. But anyways, we're just going to get into this, but for what this is just a foam board. There's a lot of foam core all over the place. Soft foam for the roof so I can try to get a squishy pattern. Because for the most part, and I described it in that video too, but when doing Hedorah, and you watch the film and try to find the scene where he's doing the smokestacks, or definitely toking on them, if you will, the building's set up differently than when you see it farther away when he goes and gets ready to jump off of it. Which was kind of the options that I was thinking about doing. Because there's this version. And then you flippy floppy them. You can have them kind of looking at Godzilla getting ready to jump off the building. Which, for the most part, the windows and stuff were set up decently. Not quite accurate to movie, but I just kind of was just going with it and trying to just make it look good. Wasn't really going for film accurateness. Because technically, the building here should also be like a brick color if I'm going by the film. But for the most part, everything else is kind of lined up. The stacks maybe could have been a little thicker. But for the most part in the movie, when you see the close-up shots anyways, and him sucking on the pipe, it's about the size of my thumb. Because the pipe for the hole is about the same size as his mouth. So that's kind of what I went with. But, well, take Hedorah off and I'll show you guys exactly what's going on with the building here. But what's really nice about this is actually really cheap to do, super light, and also kind of helps you get some variety in terms of sizing on your shelves, which is kind of what I wanted, because that Hedorah in particular kind of hides with all my Godzilla stuff, because I actually have a lot of 30 centimeters. So I wanted something to kind of elevate them a little more, and I thought like this particular scene would be cool. Then I just have to do one building. He can stand on the one building. We're good to go. But again, all this is just foam board. I cut out these sections here. The windows here is actually just plastic cellophane wrap that I sprayed with lacquer, so it kind of hides what's going on inside of the building a little bit if you don't have the lights on. Which, funny thing, I put lights in. Which all these are little tea lights. But I'll turn them on. I can leave them on for the rest of the video here. But I didn't even try to line them up. It was pretty much like glued them in, called it good. But you guys can see, now we got some lights. If I flick off my studio lighting, you guys can see, doesn't look too shabby, if I do say so myself. You can kind of see some of the lights coming through, some of the cracks here and there, but for the amount of time I spent on this, it works pretty well. But I spray painted it. This is actually spray painted with a stone spray paints, which what that did is it gave it like this really, it's supposed to look like stone, but I didn't spray it super caked on, because in the end it kind of made it look gritty, which is really all I was looking for. And then most of the rest of the building is painted in primer gray with some blacking here and there, just to kind of add to the overall dirtiness factor, as you guys can see here. So didn't really cake it on too much. It was just pretty much just like little sprays here and there, just to give it a little bit of variety. And then you figure all the smoke and soot around the buildings is going to kind of discolor certain sections here and there. But what's here is these are just really thick dowel rods. This top section is actually just foam. The same kind of foam I used for the roof. I just took made a thin sheets, cut it around the top, and just glued it on to kind of give it that little thickness for the top of the pipes. Same with on the bottom here, just to kind of hide my little imperfections in the cutting to fit the tubes in. The top was the hardest part to kind of figure out, because initially my game plan was either, because in the movie the roof looks like this, especially when you're looking away. This is how the roof is angled. But with Hedorah standing on it, like a stationary X Plus, he's going to sit at it on an angle if you try to line him up correctly. So, game plan was I could either just ignore this, make a flat roof, do the angled roof, stick them on here, and then make an imperfection here. So some of this, it would just be all hard foam, or the hard foam core, but he would sit flat, but it would kind of level up here and there, and it just looks like he's indenting it. Or make a salad, add Sculpey, and make it look like sludge is coming down, but that one seemed like way too much work to try to level him out. And then it kind of occurred to me that if I just use soft foam, when he sits on it, he's going to level out, but he'll make the indents, and it'll look a little bit more real, like he's crushing this like metal roof. And I just noticed, I think that's coming off there. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yep, that part's coming off. I'll glue that back down here in a few minutes. But for the smoke, all this is cotton. Just wind it up real tight. I stuck a rod through it to keep, so that it would keep the thickness up top. So I gotta push this one down. And you guys can see the little rod right there. And that just kind of keeps it intact and into the direction I'm going. And I made the one stack smaller so it would fit pretty nicely into his mouth. The other stack's just normal smoke coming off the top. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, super simple to do. You just need, what? Foam core, some spray paints, tea lights, pretty inexpensive, X-Acto knife to cut this stuff out, a ruler for measuring, and dowel sticks and some thin pieces of foam that you could pretty much buy all of this at pretty much most like Myers, Walmart, Hobby Lobby. Like, I probably about like maybe not even 20 bucks into this thing. Like, I spent about 10 bucks because I had to go buy, I buy a lot of extra when I assemble this stuff, just in case if something bad happens. But for the most part, don't think it turned out that bad. And then again, just stick our Hedorah on top. He hasn't bent in the way he needs to. Which is kind of why also this is not quite glued in as thick, because I needed it to kind of crush. And while it's crushed is where I need to glue it, so I haven't really worried about that too much. But you can see he sits level on there. Token is building. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this guy. Like, it's a super simple project to do, especially for kids. Outside of the knife, so that you would maybe have to have your parents' permission or supervision in order to do that one. But you could also, if you want to make this a little bit more better looking, you can use like dowel wood sheets, or pretty much any kind of like crafting wood, because they make it for a lot cleaner edges than using the foam core. Because foam core, even with X-Acto knife, pain in the butt to cut with. But if you're going to be using wood, you'll need definitely more tools than what I use. The only other tool that I use, like thing that I use that isn't like readily available for most people, is a what the heck do you call that thing? A Dremel. I use a Dremel to try to line up the sides here, but this side wasn't really fixing itself too well. So again, I'll have a link in the description below if you guys would like to see this thing assembled in its entirety. I also plan on doing a few more crafts projects on there. Currently we're working on the Otaku Jason outfit, but that I'll start working on more hopefully next week, because I got to order some stuff. Tomorrow, as of this recording, I need to get some latex for the back piece, because we're having Jason's mask fusing off of the jacket, which I'll show you guys a picture here. But we're doing like a progress build of that over up on Patreon as well. And also a foam Godzilla mask. Or not really a mask. It's going to be more like a test run for maybe possibly doing a suit in the future. Which I'm not quite sold on exactly what I want to do right now. It's between Hedorah and Gabra. But possibly think about maybe doing an Ava versus Godzilla suit. Would be kind of cool to do. But that, like, those projects would take a long time to do. But again, if you guys help support on Patreon, you guys can definitely give some input into that stuff. Like for this particular one of our Patreons actually was the one that decided what the positioning of Hedorah was going to be. Because initially I was thinking about having it away, but decided to go with the smokestacks with him actually on top of the stacks, just because it looks cooler and it's a little bit more of an iconic scene. But what do you guys think? If you guys done any Godzilla diorama stuff, definitely make sure to share it with us on Instagram or Facebook. Links in the description below. Would greatly appreciate it. And if you guys have any ideas of what dioramas and stuff you guys would like to see, also down in the description. But wanted to do a 54 one for a while. I really should probably try that one sooner than later. Be either him going through the Diet building or the power lines. I think the Diet building would be a little easier to do, but the power lines would be something new. Kind of like what we were doing with this. It's a little bit more out of my comfort zone than the more Monster Art scale buildings. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.